These are Lisa's 10 worst relationships ever, and it all starts with the most infamous bad boy in Springfield Elementary. Lisa and Nelson were never supposed to work. She was the book-smart, rule-following girl, and he was the schoolyard bully who spent most of his time dishing out wedgies. But the thing is, opposites attract. And for Lisa, Nelson was the ultimate bad boy project. Their story doesn't just stop in childhood either. Years later, when Lisa is in college, she runs into Nelson again. It's almost cinematic. Lisa is practicing her graduation speech when she sees Nelson working as a pusher. "What have you been doing since 4th grade?" she asks. His reply, "Very little." And just like that, old feelings come rushing back. Lisa admits something that says it all. "My attraction to a bad boy plus my compulsion to fix you." It's classic Lisa, falling for someone she thinks she can save. The two reconnect in a surprisingly tender way. They spend the night talking in a church bell tower, sharing clumsy compliments that somehow feel perfect. Nelson even respects her now, telling her she could probably bench 120 pounds. For Lisa, that's all it takes. One goofy compliment, and she's hooked again. But here's the problem. Nelson hasn't changed as much as she wants to believe. Years later, when he humiliates her, then boyfriend Hubert with a childish wedgie, Lisa realizes that Nelson is still the same bully deep down. As much as she cares for him, Lisa can't ignore that some people never truly grow out of their old habits. Their situationship drags on for years, with moments of hope and plenty of heartbreak. Nelson even tries to do the noble thing at one point, letting Lisa go, because as he remembers his mom once said, "If you love something, let it go. If it loves you, it'll come back." It's bittersweet, but also proves how doomed they really were. Lisa and Nelson's love story is fascinating because it captures a truth about Lisa's character. No matter how smart she is, she's not immune to chasing the wrong type. She sees potential where there isn't any, and it leaves her brokenhearted again and again. But Nelson wasn't the only one who let Lisa down, because next, Lisa met a boy who seemed smart, romantic, and sophisticated, at least on the surface. And that turned out even worse. On Valentine's Day, Lisa finds herself at a fancy restaurant with Marge. Not exactly the most romantic setup, but across the room, she notices a boy her age, who talks like he just walked out of a novel. Nick has that poetic, over-the-top charm that immediately hooks Lisa. He drops lines like, "Then a light came through the crack," and suddenly, Lisa is hanging on every word. To her, Nick isn't just another boy. He feels like a window into an artistic, sophisticated world she longs to be part of. But here's the catch. Nick isn't nearly as deep as he pretends to be. He's more performance than substance. And it shows the moment he pulls a dramatic stunt with a fork at the dessert table, acting like he's quoting Hemingway, while literally just picking chocolate cake. Lisa is dazzled, but we as viewers can see it clear as day. This boy is all talk. Marge notices it too. She's suspicious of Nick right away, and the more time Lisa spends with him, the more Marge feels left behind. Their relationship becomes less about Nick himself and more about Lisa pulling away from her mom. That tension pushes Lisa to defend Nick even harder, convinced that Marge just doesn't understand the kind of boy he is. But when it comes down to it, Nick can't live up to his own hype. He talks about adventure and romance, but when he's actually with Lisa, he's timid, uninspired, and even allergic to chocolate, the exact opposite of the daring figure he tries to portray. Lisa realizes too late that Nick wasn't a Hemingway, he was just a wannabe. Another boy who looked exciting at first glance, but collapsed the moment she expected something real. This relationship is a perfect example of Lisa's blind spot. She's so eager to connect with someone intellectual or artistic that she ignores the red flags right in front of her. But if Nick was a fraud wrapped in poetry, Lisa's next crush was even worse, because this time, the boy wasn't just a disappointment. He was a rival. Lisa has always had a soft spot for boys who share her interests, so when Springfield Elementary put on a school play, it seemed like the perfect chance for something special. The play was Casablanca, and Lisa landed the lead female role. That's when she met Jack, the new transfer student, who instantly stole the spotlight. From the moment he auditioned, Jack was magnetic. He had the charm, the confidence, and the talent that left everyone, even the bullies, impressed. Lisa, who usually outshines everyone her age, suddenly found herself drawn to someone who could keep up with her, in a way Milhouse never could. But of course, this didn't sit well with Milhouse. He had his heart set on using the play as his big chance to finally win Lisa's affection. When Jack landed the lead role instead, Milhouse got stuck as an understudy, seething with jealousy. His dream of wooing Lisa on stage vanished in an instant. Things only got messier when the bullies targeted Jack, threatening him outside rehearsal. But unlike most kids at Springfield, Jack didn't back down. He faced them head-on and held his ground. Lisa couldn't help but admire his bravery. Compared to Milhouse, who struggled to even talk to her without tripping over his words, Jack seemed like a real contender for Lisa's heart. Unfortunately, his strength was also his downfall. Principal Skinner saw Jack fighting the bullies and decided he was too much trouble to keep in the play. Just like that, Jack was out. Milhouse was in, and Lisa's brief spark of admiration fizzled into pure frustration. The whole thing ended in classic Lisa fashion. Another boy who seemed promising was ripped away before anything real could happen. Jack was charming, talented, and fearless. But in the world of The Simpsons, that kind of boy never sticks around. And if Lisa thought heartbreak in the theater was bad, she was about to face an even bigger mess. Because the next boy she fell for didn't just break her heart, he turned her entire love life into a full-blown jazz war. Lisa's love life has always been complicated, but things hit a new level of chaos when music got involved. At a school science fair, Lisa met a boy who seemed like he was carved out of her daydreams. Brendan, the piano prodigy, he wasn't just talented, he was confident, almost too confident. While Lisa admired his skills, his arrogance was impossible to ignore. He played piano, sang with ease, and acted like he was better than everyone else. And for Lisa, that was dangerous, because she loves genius, even when it comes wrapped in ego. It didn't take long for sparks to fly. Brendan impressed Lisa with his musical ability, and she started to imagine a future where they could be equals partners in jazz, pushing each other creatively. But of course, Lisa's past came crashing back when Nelson noticed what was happening. Jealousy hit hard. Nelson couldn't stand watching Lisa fall for Brendan, so he declared war. Not just any war, a jazz war. Suddenly, Lisa wasn't just caught between two boys. She was the prize in a musical showdown. Brendan, with his raw talent and cocky charm, versus Nelson, the rough around the edges, bad boy trying to prove he could be more. Lisa enjoyed the attention, but it also highlighted something deeper about her relationships. She was constantly stuck choosing between two extremes. Brendan made her feel intellectually challenged, but his arrogance intimidated her. Nelson made her feel safe in familiarity, but his immaturity dragged her down. In the end, Brendan's fate was sealed, not by romance, but by logistics. He was disqualified from the school competition because he lived outside the district. Just like that, the jazz war was over, and Lisa was left empty-handed. This relationship showed one of Lisa's biggest struggles. She doesn't just want love, she wants someone who challenges her mind and shares her passions. But in Springfield, it almost always comes with a price. And while the jazz war was dramatic, Lisa's next romance turned into something far more humiliating. Because this time, she broke someone's heart live on television, and it was a disaster Springfield would never forget. If there's one relationship of Lisa's that every fan remembers, it's the one that started with a single Valentine's card. I choose you. Ralph Wiggum had always been the oddball of Springfield Elementary, sweet, clueless, and constantly laughed at. On Valentine's Day, Lisa saw him sitting alone, rejected by all the other kids, and decided to show a little kindness. She handed him that card out of pity. To Lisa, it was just a nice gesture, but to Ralph, it was the beginning of true love. From that moment, Ralph was convinced Lisa was his girlfriend. He followed her home, gushed about her constantly, and even told his dad, Chief Wiggum, that they were destined to be together. Lisa, of course, panicked. She never meant for it to go that far. Things got worse when Ralph landed the male lead in the school play, opposite Lisa. Suddenly, their fake romance was now on full display in front of the whole town. Lisa begged her parents for advice, but nothing could prepare her for what happened next. At Krusty the Clown's anniversary show, Ralph got pulled into the audience spotlight. Krusty asked him about his relationship status. Ralph proudly shouted, "I love Lisa Simpson, and when I grow up, I'm going to marry her." The crowd erupted, cameras zoomed in, and Lisa snapped. In front of the entire audience, she blurted out the truth. She didn't like Ralph, and the only reason she gave him the Valentine was because nobody else would. It was brutal. You could practically see Ralph's heart breaking on live television. In fact, Bart even pointed it out frame by frame. Right there, you can actually see the exact moment his heart rips in half. That scene became one of the most famous and heartbreaking moments in The Simpsons history. The relationship fizzled out after that, though Ralph did surprise everyone by pulling off a decent performance in the play. And Lisa, in a rare moment of softness, gave him a small card afterward as a peace offering. It wasn't love, but at least it was closure. Lisa and Ralph's romance was never real, but it showed another side of Lisa's worst relationships. Sometimes her good intentions backfired in the most painful ways. What started as pity ended as public humiliation, and it left Ralph with one of the most unforgettable heartbreaks in Springfield history. But if you think Lisa breaking a boy's heart on live TV was messy, just wait until you see what happened when she fell for a teenage activist who took eco-friendly way too far. His name was Jesse Grass, and to Lisa, he wasn't just handsome, he was a cause. Jesse was a full-blown environmentalist, the kind of boy who chained himself to trees and went on hunger strikes for endangered species. When Lisa first saw him on TV leading a protest, she was instantly smitten. A dreadlocked dreamboat with a passion for justice. For Lisa, that was irresistible. She visited him in jail after one of his stunts and was immediately swept up in his world. Jesse wasn't just a vegetarian. He bragged about being a level 5 vegan, refusing to eat anything that cast a shadow. It was extreme, but Lisa admired his dedication. She wanted to believe she'd found someone who matched her values and her intensity. But it didn't take long for reality to set in. Jesse was more interested in being a symbol than a boyfriend. Every conversation with him turned into a lecture, and Lisa was left chasing someone who cared more about his image than about her. The turning point came when Jesse recruited her to help save a giant redwood by living inside it. He promised that whoever did it would always have a place in his heart. Of course, Lisa volunteered, but not because of the trees. She just wanted Jesse to notice her. Her time in the treehouse wasn't romantic. It was freezing, lonely, and miserable. And when lightning struck the tree, Lisa realized she wasn't really saving the environment. She was just another kid caught up in Jesse's self-righteous crusade. In the end, Jesse was arrested again, and Lisa was left writing him letters on rice paper with soy ink. It was the kind of relationship that looked inspiring on the surface, but in reality, it was one-sided and unsustainable. Lisa and Jesse's romance showed another painful truth about her love life. She often confuses admiration with affection. Jesse inspired her, but he never truly cared about her in return. It was a crush built on ideals, not on anything real. And while Jesse was busy saving the planet, Lisa's next love interest was focused on something else entirely, eating as much food as humanly possible. Lisa first met Lucas under some pretty weird circumstances. He was literally choking in the cafeteria because he was trying to break his own record for cramming food into his mouth. That was Lisa's introduction to Springfield's very own competitive eater. On paper, Lucas couldn't be further from Lisa's type. He wasn't smart, he wasn't artistic, and his passion, scarfing down hot dogs for sport, was more embarrassing than impressive. But Lisa has a weakness. She thinks she can fix people. Where others saw a disaster waiting to happen, Lisa saw a project. Lucas even came over to the Simpsons' house, where Marge immediately made a terrifying realization. Lucas reminded her way too much of Homer. He was goofy, aimless, and obsessed with food. The thought of Lisa ending up with someone just like her husband sent Marge into a quiet panic. Lisa, meanwhile, tried to coach Lucas into finding a healthier path. She told him competitive eating wasn't sustainable, tried to redirect his energy, and even imagined what life with him might look like. Spoiler, it wasn't pretty. In one fantasy, she was forced to drop out of college just to feed Lucas full-time, while he sat around surrounded by empty plates. The breaking point came when Lisa realized Lucas didn't actually want to change. He loved eating, and no amount of her encouragement was going to turn him into the kind of partner she dreamed of. Their relationship ended before it could truly begin, and Lisa was left once again wondering why she kept chasing impossible romances. What makes this one stand out is how clearly it mirrored Lisa's family dynamic. Lucas wasn't just a bad match, he was a warning. He was proof that Lisa's future could easily end up looking like Marge's, stuck with someone who never lived up to his potential. But if Lucas was a reminder of her father, Lisa's next romance hit much closer to her own personality, because this time she found herself falling for someone who wasn't a bad boy or a dreamer, but a rival in a full-blown cyber war. Lisa has a habit of confusing rivalry with romance, and nowhere is that clearer than with Hubert. Their relationship didn't begin with a spark of love, it began with a battle. It all started during an anti-bullying presentation at school. Lisa, always eager to take a stand, saw an opportunity to turn the tables on Nelson. With some embarrassing footage of him saved on her laptop, she was ready to fight fire with fire. But when her computer stopped working, she needed help. And that's when Hubert entered the picture. At first, Hubert was just another nerd, smart, sharp-tongued, and maybe a little too smug. But as the two started trading barbs online, something strange happened. Their insults turned playful, their rivalry turned personal, and soon enough, their cyber war started to look a lot like flirting. Lisa found herself drawn in, not because Hubert was kind or romantic, but because he could keep up with her. He challenged her in ways that most boys never could. He wasn't intimidated by her intelligence. He matched it. Every sarcastic message, every nerdy reference, Felt like a battle of wits that left Lisa secretly wanting more. But just like her other crushes, this one was doomed. Their relationship was built on one-upmanship, not trust. One day they were teasing. The next they were tearing each other down. And when Lisa realized the drama could hurt her college prospects, she pulled back. To her, academics still came first, even over a messy almost romance. Hubert highlighted another of Lisa's romantic flaws. She doesn't just fall for boys who need fixing or who impress her. Sometimes she falls for boys who can challenge her, even if that challenge is toxic. It wasn't love, it was competition. And in the end, neither of them really won. But while Lisa's rivalry with Hubert fizzled out, one boy never stopped circling back into her life. No matter how many times she pushed him away, he was always waiting in the background, and that, of course, was Milhouse. From the moment he met her, Milhouse has been hopelessly, painfully in love, and while Lisa has always kept him at arm's length, there have been a few moments where she let him get closer, just enough to keep him hanging on. Milhouse isn't smooth, he isn't cool, and he definitely isn't mysterious. But what he lacks in charm, he makes up for in persistence. Over the years, he's confessed his love in every embarrassing way possible. Writing songs, blurting out declarations in public, even performing on stage just to prove how much he cares. The sad part? Lisa almost never takes him seriously. She rolls her eyes, turns him down, or tells him she just isn't interested. But then, there are those confusing moments, like when Lisa sees Milhouse dating someone else. Suddenly, she doesn't like it. When he got together with Taffy, a popular 5th grader, Lisa couldn't believe it. She even followed them around, spying on their relationship, convinced that Taffy had ulterior motives. And then came the kiss. After Milhouse was dumped, Lisa leaned in and kissed him herself. For a split second, it seemed like maybe, just maybe, Lisa felt the same way. But true to form, she couldn't commit. When Milhouse asked if she liked him, her answer was all over the place. Yes, I don't know, maybe. That one line sums up their entire relationship. Lisa doesn't want Milhouse, but she doesn't want to lose him either. He's her backup, her safety net, the one boy she knows will always be there when the others let her down. It's heartbreaking, really, because while Lisa chases bad boys, dreamers, and rivals, the one person who has loved her unconditionally from the start is the one she never gives a real chance. Milhouse has been the eternal sidekick, always waiting, always hoping, but never truly chosen. But what if Lisa did find the perfect match, someone smart, sensitive, and different from all the others, only to let him slip away forever? That's exactly what happened in her most tragic what could have been romance. In the episode Trilogy of Error, Lisa has one of those chaotic mornings where everything goes wrong, she misses the bus, scrambles to get to school, and ends up in the wrong classroom. But that mistake led her to someone unforgettable, a boy named Theonius. From the moment they met, the connection was instant. Theonius wasn't arrogant like Brendan, reckless like Nelson, or clueless like Ralph. He was quiet, thoughtful, and shared Lisa's intelligence. Instead of teasing her for being a brainy kid, he admired it. And for once, Lisa wasn't bending herself to fit someone else's world. She had found someone who fit hers. The two spent the day together, talking, laughing, and even spinning around hand in hand like they'd known each other for years. For Lisa, it was magical. This wasn't pity, obsession, or rivalry. It was genuine chemistry. But just as quickly as it began, it ended. Lisa had to rush back to her real school, and Theonius encouraged her not to sacrifice her grades for romance. He promised they'd meet again someday, maybe at the Magnet High School. But of course, this is The Simpsons. She never saw him again. Theonius stands out because he represents everything Lisa wanted but could never keep. He was the right boy at the wrong time, the one who slipped away not because of drama or heartbreak, but because of circumstance. And maybe that's why fans still see him as Lisa's one that got away. So what do you think? Which of Lisa's relationships was the absolute worst? And which one do you think had real potential? Let us know in the comments below.